So guys, today we are talking about coronavirus again because I really don't like all this panic happening. Of course, there are lots of bad things and media are covering it all, but really let's focus on what is good and what is bad, what are good news and what are bad news, just facts, okay? And how those facts influence our daily life, our business and overall situation globally. So now we have confirmed globally around 495,000 cases. Around 22,000 cases are death cases. So of course the numbers are huge, but you should remember also about asymptomatic cases that are, you never even know how many people. And even if you look at the South Korea example, they obviously tested everyone who had any symptoms. That's why they were on a red map for a certain period of time, and as of now they are still, but in general that's why they have so many cases. So let's focus on the good and the bad sides of the COVID-19 and impact on our daily life, on our businesses, on economy globally. So of course after every decision there is a social impact and there is economical impact as well. Most positive Greta Thunberg's hopes probably are coming true, and we can see the much less air pollution everywhere. You can see from the satellite, you can see all those cities you couldn't see because of the air pollution. You can see dolphins next to Venice, you can see dolphins next to Bombay, and that never ever happened previously for many years because of the pollution. You can see many things happening around, and actually it all impacts our health as well. On the other hand, states, countries, people are becoming very helpful. They finally can find some solutions and work on that, which is really positive. And you can see even those countries which are were not really on good terms also helping each other and stuff. So I think that's a really good impact, and they actually show us that they can do something if the situation is really bad. So on the positive side, maybe it will also impact in a good way on economy. Of course, we are not talking about the crisis and what's going to happen after the close down. The question is on how long this close down and lockdown would take. We have a very good example from Huangshi, Hubei province, which resumed work and they are back to functioning normally. The transportation is working properly, people are back to work, restaurants are opening, and they are back to normal daily life that was before COVID-19. And hopefully we now know how much time it may take in Europe, in the US, in other continents to go back to normal daily life, and for how long we have to suffer the lockdowns and stay home and the anti-socializing policies. Of course, in terms of entrepreneurs, many entrepreneurs probably will had gone bankrupt in China. That will also happen in Europe, in other continents, where people have to re-evaluate and stay rather in survival mode than planning for the future at the moment. So basically what you can best do for your business is to start to optimize processes, and even if you have to fire people. I know it doesn't sound good, but that's what you actually do to survive or even to help your other employees. We obviously, as entrepreneurs, we do not hire people to fire them later on if they are good employees. But the question is, everyone goes to survival mode. There are already plenty of cases of reducing labor, and you cannot change the situation, unfortunately. On the other hand, there are plenty of big companies, including Facebook, that do some good initiatives. Besides them giving away 720,000 masks, they also offer various grants to entrepreneurs, more than 30,000 of entrepreneurs. The total amount of grants is 100 million US dollars. So it's not only ad budget but also some cash grants. So I think that's a huge responsibility, and they actually are doing their best. And there are many big companies that follow also Facebook. So if you're a small entrepreneur and you can fulfill the criteria, comply the criteria stated by Facebook, you can apply for this grant also. On the other hand, there is Amazon that is hiring people. They are now looking for more than 100,000 employees. So I think there is always something going down, there is always something going up. I know there is a black swan nowadays in the room and everyone is talking about it or trying to miss the subject. I know it's not a good situation and everyone knows, but the question is, either we are focusing on bad stuff or we are trying to find solutions. So if your business is somewhere related to sales and something else, like if you can go online, if you can do something into your business so that you could operate much better and more efficiently and you would help nowadays society, then I'm sure your project is kind of very, very positive to survive through the COVID-19 outbreak global pandemic. Fiat and Chrysler decided that they will manufacture temporarily masks instead of other medical equipment and equipment in general. That's the perfect example how you optimize your business processes and how you adjust to the current situation, and that will give them the time to focus on something else and how to restructure your clients, your orders and everything else. So I think that's a very cool example. I know the manufacturers are a little bit different story, but still I think that's the perfect example for the company to stay stable for the certain period of time and to have time to reinforce all the stuff you need and change your business plans and strategies. On the other hand, going to the bad news, there is a senator that didn't support the fight against COVID-19. His name is Rand Paul and he is infected by the coronavirus. On the other hand, there are examples like Harvey Weinstein being infected with coronavirus. Probably not many people will be disappointed with the news, but in general situation in prisons is really, really bad because there are many people and they are kind of closed down in a very small area. So all the lawyers and bars, like attorney bars, they are appealing that this is the situation where you should release the prisoners, at least those who were non-violent, crimes or political crimes, and which actually happens because there are cases in Iran starting from the outbreak. They have released like more than 85,000 prisoners, including political prisoners, and LA released around 600 prisoners, which is a global trend and appeal to all the prisoners and their lawyers and in general prisons and prison management. That they should release because probably the outbreak there will have the bigger impact because also the health issues. On the other hand, riots all over the globe, including Italy, where many people and many prisoners escaped, so it probably will impact the economy as well and in general crime level. So probably to a certain extent, we will also face some problems later on, but at the moment, this solution seems to be kind of more human. So that's why governments go for it. Why I mentioned the prisons as well, because if you're a startup that has these safety issues to monitor, for example, prisoners outside of prison and something like that, that may be super helpful to the governments, and maybe your startup is a startup that will actually gain some power during this coronavirus outbreak, and they may be used later on, because this is the first time world faces this kind of situation. And considering that in the US only there are more than 2 million of prisoners, which may be really, really helpful if you have this kind of startup. And probably prisons already have some solutions, of course, because there are different people being sentenced but not staying at the prison. But in general, there are simpler, more innovative solutions, easier to use solutions, cheaper solutions. So there is always, everything that is super cool, super new products, they are actually an innovation in general. It's not really a big change. It's a minor change that impacts the usability of the product like rapidly. So those are usually quite simple solutions if we look from the scientific side. In many countries, they really push the solutions for the coronavirus, antivirus, anti-COVID-19 solutions, and also they are probably going to, at least in the US, there are news that they are going and make the procedure of the implementation and approval of the drugs and solutions and virus solutions to simplify the procedure. So if you are developing anything, you should know about it too, that your procedures and choosing the country where you will license the product, that way may also be simplified in many regions as well. That G7 summit will not happen in Camp David, it will happen online. So this is a huge step forward. Even though it was supposed to happen in June, they still decided to keep it online. Of course, governments of the countries have a lot of pressure to solve everything now, but this is a huge step forward to make this kind of event online. And if you have various security solutions and various solutions for this type of events where actually the security and all the stuff should be much higher than on regular meetings, then you can also implement and offer these solutions even to current existing companies like Zoom. Speaking of sports event and all supply chain that suffers because of the cancellation and postponing of the events, starting from the cancellation of the World Figure Skating Championship, going to NBL, NHL, postponing of the Formula One championships, Europe League, and other events, including the Olympic Games that were postponed to be in 2021. Why I'm referring to this kind of events? The problem is that it's not only about the event, all the infrastructure, all the hotels, everything that was supposed to happen around it also suffers, and all those businesses that were somehow involved in these games or whatever sports and competitions should also adjust their strategy and think of what they are going to do and when the next event is going to happen and how it is going to happen and how they are going to manage it, or meantime management, right? So basically there are many things to be solved, and it's not only about, because we watch news and we are like, oh, cancelled. But we never think about entrepreneurs that are behind that. And there are many of them. Hotels, various supplies. It's just amazing. Even flights, even airlines. So the Olympic Games officially moved to be in 2021, and it's already confirmed because there were quite a few countries that announced first that they do not want to participate in Olympic Games this year in Tokyo. And after certain discussion, they decided to move it to be in 2021, and it's already confirmed by the Olympic Committee. And of course, military is a great help in the current situation. For example, military has been brought to help disinfect homes, and in case of Spain and other European countries that are most suffering from the COVID-19 outbreak. And from the sad news is that meanwhile ice ring in Madrid is to be used as a temporary mortuary for COVID-19 victims, officials said. And the virus is spreading really fast in Spain. So the second worst hit actually European country is Spain, and they are trying to manage these risks there. So that's probably the solution that may be used, may not be used, we don't know, but countries have to be prepared for that just in case situation. But Europe is not the only example. For example, in the New York, the Javits Center is being converted as a field hospital to combat shortage of the hospital beds. Shanghai and Beijing announced that non-person will get into the city unless tested to COVID-19. And speaking of losses of the entrepreneurs, we can look at the food industry, including McDonald's that closed. More than 1,270 restaurants closed in the UK and Ireland only, so that's a huge number. So COVID-19 outbreak forces Yum brand, which is a parent company for Taco Bell, KFC, Pizza Hut and Habit Burger Grill, to close 7,000 restaurants globally. Okay, and now when we more or less know what happens in the world and how it impacts economy and how all the suppliers of those even brands I've mentioned and supply chain will be influenced by the outbreak, the estimates are yet unknown. So many people will be left without job and stuff, so probably that's the time to optimize everything for us entrepreneurs and for employees as well, to make their best, to show their best side so that employer really would see that you are the person that is needed at the moment. And going back to the analytic side of the coronavirus or COVID-19 outbreak, I really want to tell you that the information is not really that bad, because in general the stats are that more than 100,000 cases are already recovered. In China, more than 81,000 cases were infected and more than 72,000 people already recovered. So that's a huge amount. That's more than 90%, which is really, really cool. Also in Italy, we can see the drop down of death toll on a daily basis, which may also be a sign that we are past the peak. Right, so that's a good sign. Actually, also many people looking at SARS, what happened when the temperature outside goes up. The also amount of infected people goes down because of many reasons, but in general that's what happened to SARS, and there is a huge hope that it will happen also to coronavirus. Also, if you look at the examples where of the countries where the temperature is high in general, like Singapore or Malaysia, they don't have as many cases as in China. So there is a huge hope that all those things will impact and reduce the amount of people who become infected by the coronavirus and the outbreak in general, and hopefully very soon we can go back to normal life. Of course, our life will never be the same anymore because it's the first time for us to face this kind of situation. But I want you guys to remember that even during past crises, maybe it was not as general as huge crisis as it is now, but in general we faced previous crises, and there were quite few companies, including Uber, that have actually started their businesses during the crisis, and they have raised funds and they are huge businesses now. So just remember that, of course, adjusting to the structure and to the current situation is super important, but do not just focus on the bad stuff. There is lots of good stuff happening. I think we are in a situation where we should focus on the good side, and also do not let media to overwhelm you, because media just try to push all this information on us. And actually there was a very interesting case of the coronavirus kind of discussion by the World Health Organization director. He stated that like the death toll is very high, it's 3.4%, which is super high. And I think the statement of the UK professor Chris Whitty, who is the UK chief medical officer, he stated, yes, but this number is if you do not know about all asymptomatic cases. So if there are no symptoms, people don't know they are sick. I mean, they have the disease. So the evaluation, he stated that if you analyze all the amount of people, including those who don't have symptoms, then amount would go down below than 1%. So that's the perfect example of how media are overwhelming us with all those bad news, sometimes with us not even realizing that actually the information is not really that truthful, or they do analysis of not full case, right? They provide us only part of the information and we believe in it without analyzing. So guys, let's focus on the positive stuff and really analyze what we are reading, what we are watching and stuff, okay? And let's focus on the positive. And I also wish you all to stay in a good health, to stay home for now, not to go insane. And if you didn't like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel and hit the ring bell to get instant notifications about the new videos. And see you next time. Bye bye.